Recording has started. So yesterday we talked about this doc type and we said it signifies that you're about to write HTML5 codes. Then after that you write this HTML tag and you close it at the bottom. All your codes will be within the HTML tag. After that, inside the HTML you put two tags, the head and the body. Then inside the head you put your title. Inside the body you put whatever you want to display on the screen. Then the body has three segments: the header, the header, the main, and the footer. The header contains the introduction to your page. The main contains the main information on that page. Please let's mute our mic. While the footer contains things like the terms and conditions and the likes. Now we also talked about the heading tags, H1 to H6. We said the most important heading will be inside the H1, the less most important will be inside the H2, then and even less most important will be inside the H3. So you write them based on their importance. Then we created this page together. We are trying to create the Wikipedia page for Chief Obasanjo. So we're trying to create something like this yesterday. So let's continue from there. So I said today we are going to look at where is noise coming from? Okay. So today we said we're going to look at two important tags, the section and the article tags. Let's look at the two. The section tag is used to group items into different sections. When you have related items, then you can group them into a different section. For instance, this page that we are building, let's run it on the browser. This upper part represents the introductory part. This represents the early life. This represents the military training, early military career, all of this. So you can say that all of them are actually related because they discuss one point. All of them, they discuss Olusegun Obasanjo. It just adds different, this page adds different section or different segments. This segment is the intro to the page or intro to Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. This part is the early life of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, while this part is about the early military career of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. So when you have such, you can group them into different sections using the section tag. You can. Let's go to our codes and do that together. So we are going to do something now. We are going to group this thing into different sections. A section for the to stand for the introductory parts, a section to stand for the early life and career, a section to stand for the military career. Remember, all of them are related. So, sorry, someone wants to join. Let me quickly admit this person. So, we can say section. So, inside this section, I can cut all of this and place that in the section. So let's see how this section looks like now. I think someone wants to join us, so I'm coming. Okay, so we have a section like this. Inside this section, we have this heading and some text about Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Then we have another section. This part is another section. This early life and information about his early life is another section. So let's cut that and put that inside another section. Okay. Then, these texts. Remember I said you don't just place text directly like this. Let's place it inside a p tag. So we can create a p tag, then place the text inside the p tag. Note that the paragraph, this p tag, and the heading of that section, this is a section. The heading of that section and the paragraph, they are all inside this section tag. Then let's put this early military career in another section also. Don't forget the purpose of HTML. HTML is to map out the structure of our page, the structure of your page. Oops. Okay. So now our page has 3 sections. The first section is about the introduction. The second section is about the early life. The third section is about the early military career. Now, to make it obvious, we can give all of these sections their names or the right name. You can call this the introductory section. So we want to give these sections name so that it will be easy for anybody or for us as developers also to know what each section stands for. You can give each section a name. So use something we call ID. ID stands for identifier. ID looks like I will liken ID to your matric number in school. An ID must be unique to a tag. That is, 2 items must not share the same ID. I come again. An ID is like your matric number. Same way you don't share matric number with other students in school. Again, also in HTML, you don't share ID with other tags. So when you write ID, it's meant for that particular item and it cannot share it with any other item. So I can call this introduction or introductory section. Introduction. I can call this next section, I can call it early life. ID early life. Just to name that section. ID military career or military. Let's just say it's military. Any question? Do you have any question? As we join the meeting, please note that the class is being recorded. Don't display sensitive information on the screen. Let's move on. So we've grouped our page into different sections. When we run into the page, you may not see any significant changes to the code or to the display that you're going to see on the screen. You may not see any significant difference. But then it is important that you use the right tag for your code. It makes it easy for search engines to search through our page and all of that. It makes things easy. So let's go to the browser. We have this. Now, I don't think there seems to be any visible changes to what we have on the screen. Between what we have on the screen and what we had before now, I don't think there seems to be any visible difference between them. But then it's good you map out your code using the right tag. It's very good. Let's move on. Let's look at something we call the article tag. So I was talking about the Linda EKG website yesterday. Now this here is something like a section. This here is another section. Let's scroll down. This here is another section. I think this one's are advertisements. This is another section, another section, another section. Now the different, but then if we want to build a code like that, we are not going to use the section tag for them. The reason is because the post here is not related to the one here, and it's not related to the one here. Same way, it's not related to the one here, and it's not related to the one here. They are independent codes, or they are independent items. Good. They are independent items. Unlike section, whenever you use section to group items that are related to one another, because what we have here on the screen, they are related. Everything here is still about Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Is about a single entity, and they're actually related. What you have on the screen is like different parts of a single of a complete item. That's why we use the section tag. But let's assume we want to do something like this. You are not going to use the section tag. Instead, you use what we call the article tag. Article tag. You use article tag to group items that are not related together, independent items. While you use section to group dependent items, items that are related together. Do you understand the difference? Please, do you understand the difference between section and the article tag? Let's assume, let's go to another file and create something we call like a blog website. Come on. So here we can have let's say I want to display different blogs. Maybe imagine this is a Twitter page. So the first person may tweet that. Good. Let's go to twitter.com. Then you see something like that. The tweet here is not related to the tweet here, and the tweet here is not related to the tweet here. They are independent items. For such, you make use of the article tag because they are not related. They are not about a single entity. They are not, unlike the section. So let's assume we want to do something like this. We want to create something like this blog page. This, what the fuck are you even talking about? So let's try that. That's for the first one. Then you open another article tag. Then you put the second one, Falcon LD. You put another article tag. Then you put, of course, let's add the names of those people that made the post. This is Kira. This is Elon Musk. If someone wants to join. Now let's add one more. Okay. Let's go to the next one. World of statistics. Then diverse sets. So you are using the article tag because they are not related. Any question on section and article tag?
Hi, please, I have a question.
Okay.
I actually observe a change or like a difference between the section and the article. For example, in the section tag, we use, after we define the identity or probably the ID, so we use like the equals to sign. But for the article, we use like a colon.
No, what happened is we only gave name to each of the section. We could have written it without giving name to them. The name just make it easy for us to identify each section, to know what each section is about. When you see the ID, oh, this section stands for early life. When you see this, oh, this section stands for military. We could have written it without the ID. It's still fine. The ID is just a way of naming the section. Do you understand it?
Yeah, actually, my point is we have like ID equals to early life. Can we also use like ID colon early life?
No. Okay,
yeah, that's my question.
No, for the article tag,
yes.
I think I get the question now. This is not an article. This is just the text we want to display on the screen.
Okay.
We use this as though it's an attribute. Do you understand, sir? This is an attribute. We are giving it an attribute of ID. Remember at the beginning of the class, we talked about attributes, a tag and attribute. Attribute gives more characteristics to that
Yes.
tag.
More information.
Yes.
We make it specific.
Yes, but this is not an attribute. This is just, I could have, in fact, let's assume we've done CSS. We would have styled it to make it exactly like this. Do you understand? To make it exactly like what you are seeing on the screen, we would have put a picture here, land date, word of statistics, put this icon, write exactly what we have on the screen. But because we are here to do a lot of things that will make this possible, that's why I just put this to make it obvious that, okay, Kira said this. But normally we ought to do something like this. We ought to style it, make it beautiful, like what we see on the screen. This colon doesn't stand for what is it? Doesn't stand for attribute. No, it's just what we want to display on the screen. I could have used something like this, meaning that's the way I want to display it on the screen.
Okay, exactly. That's my question. Like I thought the colon is specific to article.
No. So that's just
Okay,
what we want to see on the screen.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have
Okay,
any
thank
other? You're welcome, sir. Do you have any other question? Okay, let's move on. So next is we want to discuss how to display an image on the screen. Of course, to make all of this make more sense, I will remove this article tag, all of this article tag, and put them inside the main. Remember, the main should contain the main content of the page. So now it should be like this. The main content, all of them will be inside the main, all of them.
I'm sorry, please. I have one more question.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I'm disturbing.
All right, no problem.
Is it possible to? What's the effect, or probably maybe it doesn't matter? Is it possible to, after this article tag, can we like input the, instead of coming to the next line of code, can we like write everything together and end it up with the closing tag as well? Like everything be on a single line instead of 3 different lines of code.
Yes, we can also do that. This just makes it readable. It makes it smaller. And also, if you notice something, this was like this before.
Okay.
It was like this before, but I now decided to indent this part. The reason is because of readability also. Now, immediately you see this, you automatically know that everything here is inside the main tag. It makes it so obvious. Then, by indenting this part, you know that this killer and everything here is inside the article tag. If all of them were to be like this, it may not be easy for us to recognize that this is inside the article tag. Let's assume you have many text inside, multiple lines. Let's say inside this article, we have many lines of texts inside this article tag. Then it may not be easy to know that. But once you indent it like this, you now know that, oh, this text is inside this article tag. This text is inside this. This is just for readability's sake. Because you're going to have many hundreds lines, like thousands lines of codes, hundreds lines of codes in a single page. Let's say hundreds in one page. And if you don't indent properly, it may be a bit difficult to read. Not that your code will not work fine. It will work fine. But for the sake of readability, please indent it the right way. Use indentation to show that, oh, this thing is inside this thing. This is inside this. Now, we now know that all of this, they are inside the main. Then we know that this is inside this article. We know that this is inside this article. We know that this is inside this article. Do you get it?
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Now, next is, we want to see how to add an image to our page. So, I will go online and download the image of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. So, download them. Okay. So let me take it to let me save it inside the current project that we are working on. Go to desktop, inside desktop, Go to HTML. Inside HTML, let's save it there. So, showing further, this is the image we just downloaded. So I will rename this image to a more or okay. So I will rename this image so that we can easily identify it. Like this name looks too long. I think the name of this image is 440px Olusegun Obasanjo -dd whatever. So we want to rename it to a short name. It's good to use short name because you'll be using it in your codes. So when you use short name like this, it's easy for you to quickly call on it. Let me quickly add to the person that is trying to join this class. Oh, I think the person has gone. Okay, so let's rename this. Rename. What should we give it? What name should we give it? Hello.
We can just give it to BJ.
OBJ. Note that we are not changing the extension. Remember I told us the importance of extension yesterday. The extension is still .jpeg. We only change the base name, the text before the extension. Did we get it? Oops, why is it not changing? Please, are we together? We are not changing. Please, are we together? Can you hear me? I don't think you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
We are only changing the text before the extension. The extension is t.jpeg, it's t.jpeg. But the name before the extension is what we are changing. This is, we call that base name. Let's assume, I think a better way to do that would be to explain using this name, firstclass.html. When you have a file name has what are three parts. The name of this present file is called firstclass.html. This .html is the extension. This text before these dots is, or it has three parts. The text after the dot is the extension. The text before the dots is what we call base name. Base name. Then we have the dot also. So the dot separates the base name from the extension. When you want to rename, you only rename the base name without changing the extension. Because once you change the extension, you are changing the type of file. Let's assume I change this .jpeg to something else, then it will no longer be an image. It will be something else entirely. Do you understand? The extension tells us the type of file that it is. So when you want to rename, you only change base name without changing the extension. And that's what we did there. We only changed the base name without changing the extension. So I think someone wants to join. Let me quickly add this person. Okay. So back to what I was saying. Whenever you want to rename, only change the base name without touching the extension. Once you alter the extension, you're already altering the type of file that it is. So next is to display this on the screen. In order to do that, let me put it inside the introduction, inside this introductory part. We can do that by using what we call, whenever you want to display an image in HTML, use something we call the img tag. IMG tag. Before we proceed, I will ask us a question. And my question is this. What are self-closing tags? Who can help us with that? What are self-closing tags? What are self-closing tags? We talked about that yesterday. Who can help us? Please, can you hear me? Please, what are self-closing tags?
Right. I'm not sure if I'll get it, like, so, but I want to try anyways.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Um, Self-closing tags are tags that does not need the closing tag, just like an outliers.
Good. Thank you, sir. That is perfectly. They are what we call outliers. They are tags that they don't have subject and they don't have the closing tag. You only open them. One example of such is the IMG tag. The IMG tag is used to display images on the screen. So when you want to display an image on the screen, you make use of the IMG tag, and it is a self-closing tag. You don't close it; you only open it. So let's do that together. Go to our codes. We can put the IMG inside this paragraph. IMG. So you can see it doesn't have closing tag. When you make use of the IMG tag, it expects an attribute called, remember I said the IMG tag is to display an image, right? And we are trying to display the image of Chief Obasanjo. So when you use the IMG tag like this and it runs on the screen, it's not going to show you anything. That's because it doesn't know, you are yet to tell it the image to display. Yes, it knows that it wants to display an image, but it's yet to know the image you want it to display. What if it's the image of a goat? What if it's the image of another person? What if it's the image of Taye Abidaku? So when you use the IMG tag, it expects something we call SRC. SRC. This SRC stands for source. Source. That is, you want to point to the source of the image, where the image is located. So you now point to the name, you put the name of the image here. The name of the image is obj.jpg. I want to quickly make a clarification here. The reason I can call on obj.jpg here is because obj.jpg, that is this file, obj.jpg, this image is the image here. Let me do something. Good. This is the image, obj.jpg, and the file we are working on presently, which is firstclass.html. Both of them are directly inside the same folder. I come again. The reason I can point to the image directly. The reason I can do that directly is because this file and this image, they are directly inside the same folder. So that makes it possible for us to directly point to it. If they are inside the same folder, then there are other ways to go about it, and we are going to also look at it together. But let's take things step by step. Since they are directly inside the same folder, then we can point to it directly. So let's save it and run it on the screen. Go to the browser. Where's our page? I think this is our home page. Can you see the image? Let's set the height and the width. Maybe it looks too long, and yes, I think it's too long. I think I'm comfortable with the width, but I'm not comfortable with the height. So give it another attribute called height. Then maybe I want to set it to 200 pixels. So it's now shorter. Let's assume I'm not comfortable with the width, then I can set it also. I can change the width. Maybe I want to reduce the width, maybe to 200 pixels. It's not going to be fine. I just want us to, it's somehow slimmer. Let's reduce it even more. But I'll remove the width because I'm comfortable with the width. Any question? Then we want to add another attribute to this. Before we talk about this new attribute that we're about to add, I need to quickly explain what we call screen reader. Screen reader. The internet or the what of web development has advanced to the extent that even those that have maybe problem with their site or those that can't see the screen, can now read or can now make use of a website, can now read the content of a web page using screen readers. I come again. Those people that can't see your page, they can read the content of your page using screen readers. It is an assistive technology. It helps to read the content of your page. Now, those people that can't see your page, of course, they won't be able to see this image. They won't. But yet, when they are making use of your page, you want them to know that an image is here, one, and also what that image is about. They will get it. You want them to know that an image is there and what the image is about. Since they can't see it, then there should be a way around it to make them, because that screen reader will read all of this text for them. It will. But since this is an image and they can't see the image, then there is no way they can, like, of course, they won't know what you have there. So with the ALT tag, which is another tag that we're going to look at, is ALT attribute is another attribute of the IMG tag. ALT attribute, it stands for alternative. Since they can't see it, then read out the text here. So whatever you write here will be read out to those using screen readers. It's going to be read out to them. So I can say image of Olusegun Obasanjo. So when the screen reader gets here, it will just read it to them. Image of Olusegun Obasanjo. So, but to you, well, it doesn't make any difference if you can see the page. But if you can't, then it's going to read this. Aside this alt also has another usefulness. If for any reason this image is not displayed, let's assume this URL is not correct. This is a wrong URL. So meaning it won't be able to load the image. It's no longer a valid image. It's going to display that ALT, whatever you put there, image of Olusegun Obasanjo. So if for any reason it can't load the image, then it will display the content of the ALT attributes. You can see image of Olusegun Obasanjo here. That's because that is what we have as the ALT attributes. Do we understand it? Hello everyone.
Hello, sir. Yes, we can hear you.
Do you understand what this is about?
Yes.
Okay. So, before we leave this image section, let's look at different instances. Let's say your image is inside another folder and all of that. Look at something. It's a bad practice to dump your image directly inside the folder that contains your HTML files. It's a bad practice. You don't do that. Don't dump your image directly inside the folder that contains your HTML file. One good thing to do is to create a folder called images or IMG. You can create an images folder. Then you now place all images inside this images folder. So let's cut this one out of this place. And oops, sorry. So let's minimize this. So we want to cut this image out of this place and bring it inside this images folder. I will cut it here like this. Then let's go to the images folder and paste it there. Oops. It's not pasting. What's going on? Oops, it's not pasting. So let me cut it manually again. Cut. There's no, okay, let me copy. Paste. Then I will delete it from this place. Okay. Delete. Okay, so we have the images now inside. We have the image inside the images folder now. Look at what we just did. We we lifted the image from this HTML folder and we placed it inside this images folder. So with that now, this first class.html can no longer see the image because it's not directly inside its folder. If you run the same code on the browser, let's go to the browser, you understand what I'm saying. That image will not be displayed because it can no longer see it. Refresh. Oh, what's going on? Go live. Okay. So the image cannot be displayed because it can no longer see it. So what you're going to do is this. We can now direct it to the parts of the image. Let's make this big. Let's make this big. I think someone wants to join. Okay. So let's make adjustments to our codes. We can now say, since the first class.html and the images folder, this is our images folder, since they are directly inside the same folder, I come again. This is the class, this is the file we are working on, the first class.html. This is the images folder. Both of them are directly inside the same folder. For that reason, the first class.html can see the images folder. So I can come here and say images. Then next is I want to instruct it to enter the images folder. To do that, we put /. What you are saying is this. You can see the images folder, fine. This slash is instructing it to open that images folder. Then inside you will see a file called obj.jpg. You understand how this works? Since both of them are directly inside the same folder, this first class and the images folder, they are directly inside the same folder. So we can put the images folder directly, then / obj.jpg. So it will see the image now. If you go to the browser now, you're going to see the image there. Then it's also possible that you want to display an online image. So let's look for another picture of Chief Obasanjo. Come here. So let's say I want to display this particular picture. Right click. Do you see this copy link address? Copy link address. You can copy it. Then go to your code and paste it there as the source. So it's now the value of the source. It's now the source now. When you get to the browser, you will see it there. Oh, what's going on? Okay. Copy link address. Oh, sorry, copy image address. Sorry, copy image address, not link address. Copy image address. So, let's Ctrl Z. Paste it as the value of this source. Paste it inside this source. And when you save it, you will see the image on the screen now. Let's go to our page. You can see the image. So if it's an online image, you copy the link address, and you paste it in your code. So it's going to fetch the image for you and display it for you. I can adjust the width and the height just like we did the other time too. So I can adjust the height. You can see it's now taller. It's now taller. Any question? Do you have any question? Can we move on? Okay. So let's look at maybe a few more tags before we go for today. We want to look at the, let me delete all of these things. The UL tag. We have what we call the list tag. The list tag. This list tag is used to list items. Now, if we have two types of list tags, we have the ordered list and unordered list. The ordered list, they are used when the order matters. That is the arrangement when it matters. The unordered list, they are used when, or it is used when the arrangement does not matter. Ordered list is used when the arrangement matters. Unordered list is used when the arrangement does not matter. So let's look at the two together. Let's look at the ordered list first. OL stands for ordered list. Maybe I want to list the students in class. I want to list the names of students in class. So I can make use of this ordered list. So I want to list the first students. Let's say the first student is Taye. We can have Taye. Then the second student is Kenny. I can say Kenny. I want us to note that we are placing the names inside an LI tag. Each item that you are listing will be inside an LI tag. Kenny. Another student is, let's say, Idowu. So let's say we have Taye, Kenny, Idowu. This is ordered lists. OL. Then each item will be inside this LI tag. Run it on the browser and see the display. You can say 1 Taye, 2 Kenny, 3 Idowu. Let's make use of it again. Let's say I want to display list of maybe gadgets. List of gadgets. So OL for ordered list. But well, for list of gadgets, I don't think the order matters. It can be arranged anyhow. So you can make use of the unordered list. But for now, let's use the ordered list for that. You can say phone. I can say laptop. I can say TV. So we have this. Well, you might say that maybe you don't want to make use of 1, 2, 3, you want to make use of ABC. That will be done when you get to CSS. You can do that using CSS. Now, aside ordered list, we also talked about unordered list. For unordered lists, the order does not matter. So that is UL. Unordered list is UL. OL is for ordered list. UL is for unordered list, where the order does not matter. So can you say that we have these bullets? If you want to use another symbol aside bullets, if you want to make use of another symbol aside bullets, then you can do that with CSS. Any questions so far? I hope you understand ordered lists and unordered lists now. Okay. So let's stop here tonight. But before we go, let's have a recap of what we've done so far. We talked about the section tag. We said this is used to group related items that are related together. We also talked about the article tag. This is used to group unrelated items. Then we talked about the IMG tag. It's a self-closing tag. It's used to display an image. The location of the image will be inside the source. Then you have this ALT attribute, which stands for alternate. Let's assume I'm unable to see the image. What should I display to the people? Or let's assume someone is using screen reader to reach the page. What should I read out to the person making use of screen reader. So whatever you have here will be read out to the person. And also, in case the image cannot be fetched, the auth attribute, the value of the auth attribute will be displayed to the person. Then we talked about the list stack. So we have two types of lists. We have the ordered list and unordered lists. Ordered lists arrange them in numerical order, while unordered lists just use the symbols, maybe dots or so. But I said you can change it from dots to something else in CSS, which is beyond what we are currently doing. Tomorrow we are going to look at more interesting tags. We can look at the strong, we can look at the italics. We are going to look at some other interesting tags tomorrow, and hopefully we look at form too before we go. The form tag tomorrow. Any question? Now, assignment. Assignment. Your assignment is this. Remember, as it you create a page for yourself yesterday, Wikipedia page. So put your image on that page. Put your image there. Then also list your hobbies. Create a section for hobbies and list your hobbies. I want a list of your hobbies there. Thank you very much. Question before we go? Question about the assignment? Question about the assignment? All right. Thank you so much. I will stop recording now. Good night, everybody. We meet same time tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.